This is Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.
I shudder thinking how the world can be so cruel. I lend my voice to those who can't. It's time we try, it's time we care, it's time we stand. It starts with a voice.
Welcome to the Special Chronicles show. This is episode 503. My name is Daniel Smokowski, and I'm the founder of Special Chronicles and a Special Olympics Sergeant Rival International Global Messenger. Before we begin today's episode, I like to let you know that it is the beginning of December 2022 by the time you hear this, and we are in the middle of our Special Chronicles 2023 Given campaign. And if you enjoy this episode, if you enjoy our content that we produce here at Special Chronicles, we couldn't do this without your support. So please go to specialchronicles.com/give, specialchronicles.com/give, and make a donation to support this podcast and all the podcasts and content that we have on Special Chronicles. From the bottom of my heart, we greatly appreciate it. And you can visit, just follow Special Chronicles on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. You can follow me at Podman Dan. Remember to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast, Special Chronicles, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And our website, specialchronicles.com, where you can stream our archives of over 500 episodes absolutely for free. There's a list of our favorites, original series, award-winning columns, and blogs, and sign up on newsletter to receive exclusive bonus content delivered to your inbox. Again, specialchronicles.com. And once again, please support our Special Chronicles 2023 Giving campaign, specialchronicles.com/give. There'll be a link in the show notes for this episode 503. And now, this week on the Special Chronicles show, we're pleased to welcome Zach Best. Zach is the co-founder and general manager of Fansided. And we'll let you know how I got in touch with him when we bring him on. But please put your virtual hands together as we welcome Zach to the Special Chronicles show. Welcome, Zach.
Hey, David. Nice to be
there. Oh, hold on. Let's try that again. Welcome, Zach.
Hey.
Before we, am I frozen again?
Yeah.
There we go. A little delayed. All right. Before we begin with your Leos, let's kind of backtrack and have you give our listeners a brief introduction to yourself and how you and I got connected.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Daniel. Just a brief introduction. My name's Zach Best. I'm, like I said, co-founder and now general manager of Fansided. We started this company, it's been 15 years now. So in 2007, my brother and I wanted to give fans more voices. So we decided to launch our business and really build out these fan communities. And it's been a great ride for these last 15 years. And how we got connected is obviously through our Special Olympics partnership. But Daniel was gracious enough to give his time to come talk to our employees and talk about the movement, his podcast, all the other initiatives that are going around Special Olympics. But also, I think Daniel gave us some inspiration too to even integrate more with the special needs community is to have podcast employment. So those are opportunities I know I'm interested to talk to Daniel about, find out from his experience of how he's worked with Special Olympics, obviously United, and all the other great companies and associations that Daniel works with. So I'm just happy to be here with you today, and excited to share more of our story, but also learn more from you as well.
Awesome. Yeah, it was great to meet you, and looking forward to. I'm sure this won't be all. I'm sure we'll party conversations in the future as well.
Absolutely. I hope we have many of conversations, and I also have to congratulate you on 500 episodes, because that is an amazing feat. I don't think we have any podcasts that have reached that level. So congratulations to you. It's an amazing accomplishment.
Thank you. Yeah, it's amazing. I started this 14 years ago and had no idea the impact that we would be making, like even in the mainstream audience, that people, for those of us with intellectual disabilities, would be able to hear our stories and have a better understanding. Let's kind of switch gears back to you a little bit and share with us a little bit about your early years and how you got interested or involved in our movement at Special Olympics. How did you get interested and involved in our movement?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and I'll say first that it took me too long, but as a high school student, I always knew of Special Olympics, kind of had a general understanding of it. Our school had some involvement, but it wasn't until I was actually a teacher before I started Fansided, and actually did both at the same time for a little while. And as a teacher, I got to see what a unified school looked like, and we had Special Olympics within our community, but also we had unified basketball, and got to really see the impact that had on our high school, and how much interaction, how much more confident our kids with intellectual disabilities, but also the entire school community. So as a teacher, I got to see that firsthand in my classroom. I also, as a teacher, I started a unified class within our school district. So we had a keyboarding class within our business department, and I was able to have kids with and without intellectual disabilities in this class together and working together, and it was really cool to see. And so I think that's always inspired me to get more involved. And then in 2014, my wife and I had our first child, and his name is Callan. Callan was born with Down syndrome. So obviously I have a personal connection now to community. But then a couple of years, I think it was around 2016, our team goes to the Super Bowl every year, and we were able to connect with Special Olympics there. And that kind of started our first partnership with Special Olympics, is just doing interviews at the Super Bowl. And then our team was talking, we've always wanted to get involved and obviously give back, but I think also learn a little bit. So for us, we decided as a leadership committee that starting our Why We Play brand, but specifically partnering with Special Olympics, was a goal for us, because it's just such a great organization. You see the impact across not just the U.S., but across the world. And it was something that we just decided, how can we not be a part of this? So we decided to even form a greater partnership, and that's something we've been working on more intensely over the last 2 years. And then we were really excited about that. We were able to get our main company, Minute Media, more involved and announce an official partnership earlier this year in Q3. And it's been just a great ride. But I always say this is just the beginning of the partnership. I feel like there's so many amazing stories, amazing connections, and things we can do together. So like I said, this is, to me, it's just the start, but that's how my personal story got connected to Special Olympics, as well as Fansided as a brand.
Awesome. We'll get into much more of some of the stories and connections that you've been able to tell through through Fansided. I know a big part at Special Chronicles the past 14 years has always, and my dad even highlighted this in our 500th episode. He's the business manager at Special Chronicles, and so telling stories is a big part also of what we do, and it sounds like that telling stories is a big part of Fansided as well.
Yeah, definitely. That's what we love to do. Sometimes it's just a fun fan angle, and sometimes we're telling stories of Ukrainian refugees trying to get surfing lessons. And I think our passion is around people, fans. That's what connects us all, and it kind of, when you're a fan of a specific team, you're friends with everybody because we're all connected to that team, and that's something I think special that we try to deliver at Fansided is through our storytelling, but really through that fans lens of engagement, and really be a community leader within each fandom that we cover. So I think that's what we love to tell stories, and like I said before, there's so many stories within the Special Olympics community that. And that new stories get created every day that we're excited to share.
Awesome. Well, we're going to go and take a short break to let our listeners know how they can support this podcast, and then when we come back, we'll hear a little bit more about Fansided at the break, and then at the very end of the episode, we've got a final question that may be familiar to you because I believe you also on the Inclusion Revolution radio podcast, and so the final question might sound familiar to you, but we'll get to that at the end of the episode. So our guest is Zach Best, co-founder of Fansided, and we'll be back right here on specialchronicles.com if I can find.
Support for Special Chronicles comes from listeners like you. As an independent public media podcast, Special Chronicles will always be there for you. Now we're asking you to be there for us. As a nonprofit independent media organization, we can only make programs like Special Chronicles with listener support. Our programs provide weekly, candid, honest, and inspiring conversations about the people with disabilities community that creates awareness, support, and advocacy within each week's episode. Listeners tell us our shows are an enjoyable and necessary podcast for the intellectual and developmental disability community and everyone else who is able to listen to stories about life from a different angle. Please, if you and your family love our weekly podcast, make a one-time, monthly, or annual gift of thanks today. Support this podcast at specialchronicles.com/give. That's specialchronicles.com/give.
And our guest is Zach Best, co-founder of Fansided. And so, like you about the video might be a little frozen, so we'll try to work through the technical issues there. And so. Zach, there we go. I think we're back. You told us in the first segment about your story of how you got connected with Fansided, but can you tell us a little bit more about because when myself and Hannah and Alyssa from Special Olympics had presented to your employees, and actually, I think it happened at the USA Games when I first got introduced to Fansided, but I'm sure a lot of our listeners might be new to your company. So tell us kind of a brief description of what is Fansided, as well as parent company and how Minute Media kickstarted this multi-year partnership with Special Olympics.
Yeah, no, it's thanks, and I love always to tell the Fansided story. Boil it down, we are about 300 communities of sports and entertainment sites. So we have specific sites for each professional team within the United States, but then we also have sites for colleges, sites for international soccer or other sports. And then we obviously have our entertainment sites as well. So what we really want to tell is we want to tell our stories through the fans' lens. May that be talking about Netflix to Star Wars to the Yankees to the Lakers, whoever it is, it's really diving into that fan community. And what we really believe is having that fan leader drive that conversation on the website or social media or audio video. So Fansided is really, like I said, it's a collection of our websites. It's a network, but we really drill down to each individual fandom and try to give more fans voices within our site. So we love having a community of more than just one writer. We really believe in getting different opinions, different angles to the story. Really gives that fan community an opportunity to learn more and really dive in and find out everything they want to know about either their favorite show or their favorite sport or favorite team. So that's really what Fansided has been built to today. We're really excited about what the next steps, but we got acquired by Minute Media in 2020. So right before COVID started, we got acquired by Minute Media. And as anybody knows, acquisitions can be difficult at times. But when we got to Minute Media, it was really finding out that we really shared a lot of the same culture. A lot of that caring about our employees, obviously working hard and getting a lot accomplished, but doing it with compassion and care for the team that are all of our employees and obviously our communities. But so Minute Media is a larger tech sports company that has acquired other companies like ourselves, like the Players Tribune, the Big Lead. But it started in Israel. As a tech company with content as 90 Men was our original brand. Israel, they've done great over the last, we just celebrated 10 years with Minute Media, or Minute Media celebrated 10 years. And it's been a great 2.5 years with them. So excited that we got acquired by this company and excited where we can continue to grow within this new partnership with them. I think where Minute Media got more interested in Special Olympics was really I know our CEO, CCO were following along of our new vertical, Why We Play, the stories we were sharing. I think everybody was really excited about this new vertical we launched, a new partnership. But I think really what happened was in Orlando when we were volunteering at the U.S. Summer Games, our CEO and CCO got to have the opportunity to come over from and share that time with our team. But I was able to get them to an event with Mary Davis, the CEO of Special Olympics, and various other people. And I think at that moment, the light kind of came on as Soph got to our CEO, got to talk with Mary, got to talk with Tim, got to see Tim speak. And in about 20 minutes, I saw our CEO kind of being like, I want to be a part of this. And then connecting with all of those stories, the people at Special Olympics. In about 20 minutes, he was like, this is our partner. This is who we need to be connected with. This is perfect for us. We're a global sports company that we obviously have tech that is the foundation of the company. But really with us being global and being able to share stories across all of our brands, it really just made a lot of sense for Minute Media to dive even further into the partnership. So for us, it was exciting because we know there's more of Special Olympics in the United States. And obviously we want to continue to grow that with each other. But hearing, I was fortunate enough to speak to the Special Olympics board in Orlando as well. And what I heard from other athletes that serve on the board is getting more international recognition, more international stories. And I think there's an opportunity for us at Minute Media to help even further the power of Special Olympics across other countries. And that could be through our 90 Men brand, through the Players Tribune, or maybe even new opportunities that we work on together. And I think that's the exciting thing of, like I said, the partnership feels like it's just getting started.
Awesome. I want to touch on a couple of things that you said, and I'll kind of work my way backwards. But first, one thing you said about more international. And I think this video keeps lagging and interrupting. There we go. I think we should be back. Okay. So one of the things that, as you know, as a Southern Striver International Global Messenger, I know that there was as I'm sure you're learning, in our movement, there's a lot of stories across the globe. And I remember those, I'll touch on just one story, but there was, and I forgot which games that this was at, but there was a team, and I forgot where they're from, but they didn't have hearing aids, and they it might have been Abu Dhabi. Alex might be able to fact check us, but there was a team that didn't have hearing aids, and they went to our healthy athletes, and they were able to get hearing aids, and then when they went on the field, they were able to heal. That's just one example. I know for myself, when we were down at the USA Games, I actually got these glasses at our opening eyes, and so those stories, like, are you finding any of those kind of healthy athlete stories, and just in different parts of the movement, from our sports to healthy athletes to our leadership programs?
Yeah, I think that's it's a perfect example. Was in the U.S. Summer Games, we had the opportunity for some of the people that have worked on the Healthy Athletes Initiative come speak to us, and I think that's one of the sessions that really opened a lot of our eyes. It opened my eyes, but all of our employees realizing how big of an event that, it's not just the competition, it's also the humanitarian effort that's going on. And what I think, maybe I don't want to misquote myself, but I think it was the largest humanitarian effort ever in the state of Florida. But that's what really, I think, gave us even more excitement about telling stories, is the Healthy Athletes Initiative, to see how much impact Special Olympics has with providing healthcare to vision, to hearing aids, as you mentioned. It's healthcare, really just seeing how much goes on at a games like this, and how much athletes can benefit from, like yourself, getting a pair of glasses or getting your vision checked. And I think the thing for me as a parent that has a child with special needs, taking them to a doctor, a lot of times our healthcare system still doesn't, lacks experience working with people with intellectual disabilities, and that talking with Dr. Benzano and really finding through her story and other stories, we still have a lot of opportunity to change the healthcare system in this country for people with intellectual disabilities, and really improve upon taking some of the things that Special Olympics doing, and hopefully I know training doctors, training nurses at the events, and then hopefully they go back to their healthcare community and train other nurses, other doctors within, and really start to make some change in the healthcare system. But it's amazing the work, and I think that's exciting for us, is tell those stories. We were able to, our video team was able to follow around the Healthy Athletes Initiative at Orlando, and interview and also see all of the different things that are happening in that event, and just seeing how much people are benefiting from the healthcare they're getting at those events.
Awesome. Well, after we get off here, you have to some of those stories that you shared at the USA Games. So I can share it with our listeners.
Definitely. We created a great, we created
No.
a pretty powerful, I think it's about 5 to 10 minute video, and I would love to share with your community as well.
Awesome. And so how is Fansided building awareness to the incredible sports program with the stories that from our Special Olympics movement? How is you shared a little maybe kind of audio. I apologize if the video is cutting out quite a bit on this broadcast. But Zach, can you share with us a little bit more about how Fansided is building awareness with the stories within our movement?
Yeah, I think for us, it's one is just telling the stories, and obviously putting it on our website, sharing it within our social accounts. Our employees rally around it, and I think that's something that we're extremely excited about, and really giving light to these great stories. And I think for us, it's not always just telling the story of success or the happy moments, right? Sometimes we really like to tell the story of the athlete, really the trials and tribulations they go through to compete, and get the opportunity to compete. And I think that's some of the stories we're really looking to unpack is telling these fantastic stories of athletes, just like all of us. We all have to go through challenges and obstacles in our lives, and telling it through the lens of these athletes is a way to build awareness. I think for us I think the next layer for us is to tell stories through more audio and video. I think we all know that in this world there's audio and video are continually growing, just like obviously you were way ahead of the game 14 years ago. But I think that's the next something we've started, but it's the next opportunity to really dive in more into those mediums, and then just continue to being a great partner of Special Olympics when they have a story for us to tell, as partnering with them. We also look for other stories of athletes coming over challenges. So it's exciting for us. We know that it's really, as we go through, we want to also tell stories from the coaches, the parents, the other people involved with Special Olympics that really make this whole thing work. And I think telling it through those different lenses of all the people that are involved can continue to drive awareness to the organization, but also just specifically people with intellectual disabilities.
Awesome. Well, in addition to the stories that you and that you're going to share with us, that 7 minute video from the USA Games, but another that happened, I believe a couple months ago, a couple months after the USA Games was the second Unified Cup in Detroit. Just before we went on air with the webinar that when I spoke to your employees, I think you had mentioned to somebody else at Special Olympics that there was a neat story that you guys shared that you were able to tell at the Unified Cup. Can you share with our listeners maybe that either that example or any kind of impactful story from the Unified Cup?
Yeah, I think for us, I think the great stories is sometimes I think there's a lot of them with external links on our site, but I think some of the more impactful stories that don't get told is the internal stories that are, I think, the more impactful stories that the US Games was something that Fansided was involved with, but we also brought a couple employees from Israel to also join us at the US Games, and a lot of our two offices in UK and Israel, and we also have people in Brazil and Asia. I think that exposure to Special Olympics really opened their eyes. A lot of people who asked didn't even know what Special Olympics were, and so 90 Men got involved to tell the stories. They're our global football, global soccer brand, and they were able to tell the great stories of the Unified Cup and share those on 90men.com. And so to see that our U.S. games and kind of the stories we're telling ignite a light in UK, and for them to start telling the stories on our 90 Men brand, which is global. We also, it's a multiple language website as well. I think that's really a great internal story, as well as our Israeli office just went to, they volunteered at the Israeli Games, Special Olympic Games. And that was the first time a lot of those employees ever got exposure to Special Olympics. I think it was the first games in Israel in about a little bit over 10 years. So for them to go volunteer, be a part of that in Israel was another great example of how we're not only, obviously exposing people to these great stories across the internet, but internally within Men in Media, we're also starting to create some ambassadors of Special Olympics throughout our company. And I think one of the stories for me personally at the U.S. Games was and very impactful, and I think for a lot of our employees was our volunteers. We did the family check-in. So it was at the beginning, and we got to meet a lot of families that came in and checked in for the U.S. Games, and they got to share their personal stories with us. And that was either mom and dad, grandma and grandpa, it was brother, sister, it was the athlete. It was just a combination of different people, aunts and uncles that came and did the family check-in. It was amazing to watch our employees really engage with the families, want to find out stories. And what we started to see is people making connections. I started seeing employees trading phone numbers or text messages with different family members or athletes. And my personal story, I got to connect with a family from Nebraska that got to tell me more about the U.S. Games and the World Games. And their son had competed in tennis and was competing in Orlando for unified basketball. And meeting their family was just well, one, as a parent, it gave me a lot of hope and just enthusiasm for my own son. But to connect with them and hear, how they've approached working with their son and Special Olympics. And then, interesting enough, Wyatt Spalding is the athlete we connected when his family got back, and we started sharing text messages. And then Wyatt and I have been staying connected all throughout the past since the U.S. Games. I got to go on his podcast, and come to find out his aunt lives in Nixa, Missouri, a small town in Missouri. They got to visit here, and we got to meet face to face and spend some time over coffee, and I got to meet the rest of his family. So I think those stories don't always get told on our website. There's amazing stories from a Special Olympics that we're sharing. But I think some of the really cool things are behind the scenes, the internal stories, the internal impact that's happening across our company of 500 people. And then, what I hope is those 500 people within our company start sharing those with their family members, and we start to see how things can grow very quickly. And hopefully we partner with other companies as well on different initiatives. We have a women's ERG, and we've partnered with other companies and sharing stories across. And I think that's another exciting thing we can do is start to work with other companies and bring them into the movement as well.
Awesome. Well, we're gonna take our final break, final sponsor break, and then get to some final thoughts and share a little bit about some of the future stories in this partnership that Fansided has with Special Olympics. Our guest is Zach Best, the co-founder of Fansided, and we'll be back after this short break right here on SpecialChronicles.com.
Support for Special Chronicles comes from listeners like you. As an independent public media podcast, Special Chronicles will always be there for you. Now we're asking you to be there for us. As a nonprofit independent media organization, we can only make programs like Special Chronicles with listener support. Our programs provide weekly, candid, honest, and inspiring conversations about the people with disabilities community that creates awareness, support, and advocacy within each week's episode. Listeners tell us our shows are an enjoyable and necessary podcast for the intellectual and developmental. Let's try this again. Support for Special Chronicles comes from ComEd. Special Chronicles is proud to partner with the ComEd Energy Force Ambassador Program. The Energy Force is the country's first energy efficiency education program designed for and taught by people with disabilities. ComEd is powering lives and really is powering us here at Special Chronicles to keep the lights on and our technology is powered on. As ComEd powers the lives of us, they're literally giving a voice to people with special needs. We thank ComEd for the generous support of our mission at Special Chronicles. Learn more at specialchronicles.com/ComEd. That's specialchronicles.com/ComEd. Special Chronicles is hosted by Podbean Podcast Hosting, the easiest, most affordable option to get started in podcasting. At Special Chronicles, we proudly host our weekly podcasts with Podbean and highly recommend you use Podbean Podcast Hosting to get started in podcasting today. Sign up for an unlimited hosting plan and get 1 month free now to get started in podcasting today when you visit specialchronicles.com/Podbean. That's specialchronicles.com/Podbean. All live streams are powered by StreamYard, the easiest way to create professional live streams. StreamYard is a live streaming studio in your browser. Interview guests, share your screen, and much more. Stream directly to Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and other platforms. Sign up for StreamYard today using our StreamYard referral link when you visit specialchronicles.com/StreamYard. That's specialchronicles.com/StreamYard. And we're back. Zach, over 500 later. I still push the wrong buttons.
It's okay. I do the same.
Oh.
It happens all.
Yeah, it's funny. I've got a little cheat sheet here. Yeah. I've got a little cheat sheet here, but like on my soundboard, all the sound clips are color coded. And so, yeah. That's okay. It's all about having fun, right?
Exactly.
So you shared just before that last break. You shared about some of the stories at the USA Games. Can you share with us now a little bit about the volunteerism of how Fansided volunteered at the 2022 USA Games in Orlando? And is there like a impact story from behind the scenes when you guys were there?
Yeah, I think for us was we decided and after coming out of COVID lockdowns and everything is we wanted to get our employees together. Fansided, we started as a remote business. We've been pretty much remote. We had our first office in 2015, but pretty small and still a lot of our workforce is remote. Once COVID happened, pretty much all of Fansided is now remote. So there wasn't that much opportunity to have. We do a lot of team building, but sometimes over Zoom and not in person, you lack some of the connections you can easily make in person. So we really decided, and this was something that Men in Media did across, is all of the different business units were able to do an offsite. And when we were talking with our leadership team, we knew whenever we did this, we wanted to do it around a Special Olympics event because to me, there's no greater there's no team bonding opportunity is to give back to your community. And so for us, it was working with Alex and Jason from Special Olympics to find the right event for our team to go to, and kind of combine our offsite around volunteering at Special Olympics. So when we decided it was a great opportunity for us, the U.S. Games were this year, to get our employees. We had never done an offsite where it got all of our employees, and we've grown pretty significantly over the last 2 years with employees. We were about 40 probably employees when we started at Mini Media. Now we're up to 75. And so we decided that we wanted to get everybody together and head to Orlando. So for us, we took the team to Orlando. Obviously, we did some of our own stuff, but a lot of it was centered around the volunteering aspect, going to the opening ceremony. Obviously, I wish we had more time. We could have stayed for the entire event and seen more of the competitions. But for us, the volunteering, as we also wanted it to volunteer together. And so the family check-in was one of the largest things you could volunteer for, so we could get all of our team together to do that. Just because I think it's extremely powerful to see your coworker volunteer and help and be a part of that process. So for us, it was a great opportunity. It really worked out well for us. And I think the common message I heard from people was, you'll leave Special Olympics games feeling like you got out of it more of it than you gave to it. And I know we gave a lot. We really volunteered hard for those couple days. But I knew that you could just see the energy and kind of how we were bonding very quickly together. And the stories that were told in our personal Slack channels with our employees, had all of us in tears. Just the impact that the games had on our employees, and how closer it brought us all together, was truly probably the most amazing experience I've had at Fansided. So seeing that happen and knowing that the internal rewards we got out of it could not. I think that we want to do all of our offsites around a Special Olympics event. Yeah, because that power there. So I think that was one of the biggest things that came out of it. And then, I have employees going back to their communities, looking at how they can volunteer. We had an employee go back and volunteer in bowling, and now he's a softball coach. We have other employees asking, how can I get more involved? Other employees around Minute Media asking the same thing. How does a product engineer get involved to give something back? And asking the same thing. Looking at opportunities to help tell stories, to job interview shadowing, to job shadowing. And I think what we would love to do is employment. We really want to work with Special Olympics. Obviously, I think we have a conversation offline, but like, how does our business, remote work and all of these things, we really want to continue to put our money where our mouth is, and hire people with intellectual disabilities. So that's, I think, something that we're looking forward to. I think something also, my school district is not a unified school district yet. That is something I'm excited about, trying to help push and create those opportunities for kids in our school district to experience as well. So I think that's some of the stories, some of the impact that we felt coming out of the U.S. Games. And it's you can kind of you can see it continually just growing within our own company. And it really was a truly amazing event that I think many people walked away that are going to be impacted for the rest of their life because of the opportunity.
Yeah, I know all of us at Special Olympics are excited to now, coming off of the USA Games. I know we'll be calling this at the end of 2022, so it's been quite a few months. But all the different types of opportunities, from the job shadowing and job opportunities, or the different types of stories that you can share and that you can tell about us athletes from all different aspects of the movement, can be so powerful, because I'm sure, just like how you and your employees have benefited from Special Olympics, I'm sure a lot of the readers and a lot of the viewers of your content will also benefit from our movement? To do, are you getting any comments and feedback from any of your viewers or any of your readers?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think those telling those stories, and I see it within my own, our smaller community. We have a smaller Facebook group here in Southwest Missouri, and you can see when a story gets told, how impactful that could be for the community, right? I think Chris Nichik is a perfect example. Obviously, that story has been widely told, and it's an amazing accomplishment. But even some of the smaller stories can be shared locally or within communities, and that I think that's, sometimes it's small change to make big change, right? And I think those stories sometimes might be as impactful or grandiose as some, but they're making a difference, and hopefully they're being impactful in communities across the country, across the globe, and that's what we really hope is to continue to see how these stories can be impactful and continue to grow. And I think some of the greatness is the stories a lot of them are evergreen, right? They have they'll still be impactful years to come from now. So I think for us is just to continue to tell those great stories. Find the stories and find the stories within the stories. But yeah, we would love to continue to grow more exposure through our Why We Play vertical. But I think, like I said, I think we're just getting started in the storytelling, and I'm excited to see how it can kind of replicate across the entire Minute Media company.
Awesome. Well, before we get to that final question, like to give a brief before you share how to get connected with Fansided. I want to remind the listeners, if you want to, depending on whatever state, whatever country, wherever you're listening to this podcast right now, you can connect to Special Olympics at specialolympics.org and find your local program and see how you can get involved, just like Zach and the entire Fansided company. If you're listening and your company or your organization is not yet involved, just go to specialolympics.org to see how you can get involved. And then, Zach, how can our listeners get connected with Fansided?
Yeah, we obviously we have presence on all social medias. Fansided, at Fansided on Twitter, Fansided on Facebook, also TikTok or all the other platforms we're on. But Fansided.com, as you see here, /Why We Play, is the section of our website where we tell great stories. However, we really tell them throughout the site too as well. And continue looking at, like I said, audio and video. We are still working on launching our own YouTube channel. It's out there, but we still have a lot of work to do to get that really in a good place. But excited about telling stories through different mediums. Is it social media? Is it our written content, audio, video? So that's the way you can connect with us.
Awesome. So I'll make sure to include those links in the show. And so you, depending on wherever you're listening to this, just look down in the show notes. And then you can find a link to Fansided and how to get connected with Zach. So before we get to that final question and before we let you get back to the rest of your day, Zach, do you have any final thoughts on your time here today on the Special Chronicles show?
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm so impressed by your commitment to your podcast, your work, your craft. Would love to also ask you, how can companies like ours even get more involved in the movement and different ways that you feel a company, a media company like ours, can be an advocate or a good partner to the Special Olympics movement?
I think that's a great question. Reason a little bit. So when the video catches up just a little bit, I will answer that question. There you go. So see, I think it's sorry. This internet today is kind of going all over the place.
It's fighting us today.
You
right?
said the what?
Oh, I said
It's fighting us today. Yeah, I know. Yeah. So that question that you asked was how Fansided can get like
yeah, or any business. How do you feel? How do you feel like we can be even more a partner, or ways that we can work further together?
I think
or something you've learned working with United Airlines, something that it's been impactful for businesses.
I think one of the biggest parts is talking to us athletes, talking to those of us with intellectual disabilities, and see what skills and gifts that we can bring to your organization. And I know employment is a big issue, and finding, I guess, when we talk about employment, find ways to look in your teams, look in your organization to create, either find a job that fits for those of us with intellectual disabilities, or do what United Airlines has done and find a way to create a job for us that can take your organization to the next level. Just one brief story I'll share with you, Zach, that I had a few weeks ago. I had posted a picture because we were in Denver for the day for a training workshop, and one of the other employees at United had commented and said that those of us athletes, those service ambassadors at United, that we are the missing piece to United Airlines, and that's what will set United apart. And what she said, that we were the missing piece, I think that's what other organizations, other companies like yours can look to and see, because I know it's been amazing. Like, I had no experience of the aviation industry going into this job, but like that comment from that employee at United Airlines, that we are the missing piece, I think that's probably the best part of advice that I can give.
Yeah, amazing impact that those words can have, is that that you're the missing piece of United, and just shows the impact of that our differences a lot of times can bring us together, right? And truly not, I think your point out, I think this is part of the next question, is not looking through the lens of what you can't do, but what you can do.
Yes, absolutely. And so that's a good transition. You've probably heard on a lot of podcasts that we transition from one segment, from one topic to another. So that's a great way to transition to our final question. And we've got a bumper that we're going to go ahead and play to introduce that final question.
We're not just athletes.
We are the ambassadors of an uprising.
Peaceful protesters.
In a rebellion against anyone
Who has a fear of difference.
Difference. Our demands are
equality.
dignity,
and the recognition of our
shared humanity. We will not have anything less.
Today, our world is
More divided than ever.
And coming together has never been more urgent.
The revolution.
is inclusion.
Find out more at jointherevolution.org.
And Zach, ever since coming back from the 2019 Abu Dhabi World Games, I've been asking this final question, and so I'll do the same with you. As you know, the inclusion revolution is a big part of our movement at Special Olympics, and so what does inclusion mean to you?
It's a great question, and I think for me, sometimes it continues to evolve a little bit, but I think for me, it's the equal access, equal opportunity. But really, to me, it's when we almost can stop talking about inclusion. It just naturally happens. So for me, it's creating opportunities and like I said, the equal opportunities for everyone. And we view, I think, from the lens of we talked about, and something that as a parent of a child with an intellectual disability, I think for me, when we first got our diagnosis, and this is a story I shared internally with our Minute Media family, was I immediately thought all the things he was potentially not going to be able to do. And I started my brain, I immediately thought about all the things that Callan could struggle with or might not be able to accomplish in his life. And I had a unique experience with a former high school football coach that really quickly changed my perspective. And hearing stories from yourself and stories from other families as part of the movement is seeing it through a different lens. It's not what they can't do, but they can do, and giving that opportunity to each person and pushing them as far as we can. And that's what we do with everybody. So inclusion to me is really looking at it through that lens. And opportunity is not only the thing, but access, everything within that, to me is something that's really helped change my mind, and seeing it through my own son's lens. I think at times we feel like we've come a long way over the last 30, 50 years. But I think we still have a long way to go. A lot more work needs to be done. And I think everybody at Special Olympics is so committed to the movement, and to be more inclusive. And so that's exciting for me, is where the next 50 years goes. But like I said, I think we all have a lot of work, which to me is exciting. But also we know there's challenges ahead, but creating a truly inclusive environment makes us all better. And I think that's what we talked about through this conversation today is inclusion is not just for the person with intellectual disabilities. Yeah. Inclusive makes everybody else significantly better. We start to understand, especially in this toxic world right now. And I think it's a quote from your mom that if everything was filtered or kind, and I've shared the same kind of vision as everything was put through Special Olympics, the world would be a better place. There would be no wars. There would be just such a better understanding of each other. And to me, inclusion can really help change the world and change kind of just this toxic environment we're living in these days. And that's what's exciting for me. I think that's a big opportunity, but I'm excited to see, like I said, where the next 50 years go, and just so proud to have the conversation with you today. I'm looking forward to us connecting offline and continuing our conversation, but just appreciate the opportunity to be a part of this great movement, and thank you for all that you do, and I'm excited to see where your podcast goes for the next 14 years too. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. It's been a joy to have you on, and I'm sure we'll continue more conversations off air, and folks, our guest has been Zach Best, co-founder and general manager of Fansided, And we'll be back next week with another episode of the Special Chronicles show. So remember to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And we'll see you next week.
We're not just athletes.
We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Daniel.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Special Chronicles Podcast. Our podcast was produced by Daniel Smikowski on the Special Chronicles Network. Follow Special Chronicles on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Subscribe, rate, and review Special Chronicles on Apple Podcasts,